Hi friends, my name is Nikki and I am the host of Source Clarity. When we harness higher levels of source clarity, we align more with the things that we desire to attract. When we harness higher levels of source clarity, we strengthen the relationship with our intuition. When we strengthen the relationship with our intuition, we align more with our purpose. We align more with who we really are. I have found in my experience that the more we harness clarity, we're revealing more of who we really are, and that who you really are, your natural vibration is high. You have a naturally high vibration. So through this process of harnessing higher levels of source clarity, you get the things that you're asking for. You align deeper with your intuition, and when you're living life guided by the greatest North Star that you have on this planet, your intuition, the life experience becomes significantly more fulfilling. You begin to see life through the lens of unconditional love. You begin to see life through the lens of source energy. You begin to see life through the lens of truth. And it's a really beautiful process in living a life that just feels vibrant, living a life that you feel like is your own. And I have found through this process of harnessing higher levels of source clarity that there is a stream of playfulness that resides within each and every one of us. Yes, the stream of play, the stream of joy that resides within each and every one of us. I have found through this process in connecting deeper with intuition and connecting with source energy. I actually had this experience the other night and really connecting with source. I've really been working on connecting deeper specifically with source energy. And I find source has this playful nature. Source doesn't take things as seriously as we humans do. And so I have found that when I pull back in my life from overanalyzing things constantly, overthinking things constantly, that I naturally align with higher levels of clarity, naturally aligning more with the essence of who I really am, naturally aligning more with my intuition, naturally attracting the things that I desire. And so something I've been engaging with more is smiling. Like literally, I will rise in the AM. I will wake up in the morning and I will intentionally put a smile on my face. I will look at my environment in my bedroom. I'll find things to smile about. Literally, like, this is gonna sound a little strange, but I will smell my sheets. I was going to say sniff, but that sounds creepy. I will smell just like my blanket and the plants around me, and I will smile. Like this morning I went to a coffee shop and intentionally I put a smile on my face on the drive there. As I was walking from where I parked to the coffee shop, I had a smile on my face. As you can see here, there are times where I'm intentionally smiling. And I found that this taps us in to that stream of playfulness that resides within us. So many of us, we take this life experience so seriously. And here's what's pretty cool. Science has shown us that when we smile more, facial muscles send signals by way of cranial nerves to the brainstem and limbic system. The limbic system is essentially your brain's emotional and motivational network. Now, key components of the limbic system would be the amygdala, that is associated with threat detection. We have the hippocampus, that is associated with meaning and memory. So, when you smile more, the brain processes this as my environment safe. You activate what is known as the parasympathetic nervous system. This is your rest and digest state. In this parasympathetic activation, there's changes in neurotransmitters like serotonin, like dopamine. There is a decrease in stress hormones like cortisol. So when the body is in this rest and digest state, or the nervous system is in this rest and digest state, this shifts out of fight or flight, out of survival, allowing for high levels of clarity, greater regulation, and an overall deeper connection with self. Now, what's great about this process is that when you harness higher levels of clarity, right, we're going all the way back to smiling. When you harness higher levels of clarity, you tap back into the essence of who you really are. When you're tapped into the essence of who you really are, you emanate a frequency and vibration, one that is of love, because who you really are is love. And you begin to attract more people and experiences that are frequency and a vibrational match to that love. And yes, this process can happen. Science has shown us through smiling. And so what's great about this, is as I think a lot of us in the spiritual world, as we progress and we have this zest to learn a ton of awesome information. We want to learn about all the esoteric things. We want to learn about the depths of intuition and manifestation and the science of all these things. And maybe we even go down rabbit holes of learning a little bit about the crazy non-physical world, but then we start to learn about like aliens and all these other things, and things begin to get a little bit esoteric, complicated. The integration process might get a little bit difficult. What I have found that has created some of the greatest impact in my life is going back and pulling back from a lot of the noise. It's not that the noise is not beneficial, and I don't want to call it noise. It becomes noise when you're learning a lot of information at once. Okay, it becomes noise. But I have found that when I intentionally pull back and I just begin to go back to the simplicity of life, literally this, okay, setting an intention to tap into that stream of play that resides within, I find that my natural vibration is high and I begin to feel more magnetic and I begin to attract higher frequency ideas. I was thinking about this the other day and I was sharing this with a one-on-one private client. And I share this with the group that I was working with as well. But essentially, when we were children, we didn't really know the laws of the universe. We didn't know the law of attracting. We didn't know the law of focus. We didn't know necessarily what intuition was. We did inherently. It's something that is inherent within each and every one of us, but we couldn't necessarily articulate it. Well, how did we have fun when we were children? Because the essence of who you really are is love. The essence of who you really are is play. Okay? And there is a lot of what could be perceived, I don't even want to put it that way. There's a lot of negativity out there in the world. What can be perceived as negativity, a lot of adversity, a lot of obstacles, and that is putting it extremely lightly. We're being a little bit vague here. And we can take on, a lot of us do, we take on the heaviness of the world. And there's a lot of pressure to have, certain preferences out there in the world and certain opinions and to know everything about everything, right? We're in the information area where you're supposed to know everything about everything. If you don't have an opinion, you're going to get in trouble. And we're constantly in this state of survival. We're constantly in a state of fight or flight. But what if we can go back to the essence of our spirit, which is sort of simplifying everything that we're learning and going, you know what? I'm going to set the intention to tap into this stream of play that resides within me. Again, this whole community is about harnessing source clarity. Because when you harness source clarity, right, you are strengthening the relationship with your intuition. You are aligning with what you desire to attract. You're aligning with your soul path, your soul pull. You're aligning with the higher self path. You're living life guided by your true nature. And one of the most remarkable ways to harness that source clarity in our lives is, again, and I will say this is what our focus is on all today. It's tapping into that stream of play within you. And you might be watching this or listening to this and you're going, this sounds great, this sounds fun. How? What are my specific steps in tapping into play? The idea is to simply go about your day and set intentions. We talked about smiling. It's to just simply smile. It's to simply set the intention. When you have that negativity that arises within the mind and the resistance that arises within the mind, what if you can combat, for lack of a better word, that negativity within the mind to go, my natural state, my natural vibration is high. I am just going to thank this negative thought for being here and realize it's not that serious. Something that I have been practicing, a muscle that I have been practicing is strengthening my own relationship with source energy. If we think of source literally as the highest of highs consciousness, source is like any sort of consciousness. And to learn about like a friend or learn about your pet or your animal or whatever it may be, it's going to require time to understand them. The reason why you have a love for your animal, the reason why you have a love for your romantic partner, your business partner, your friends, is because you feel like they understand you and you feel like that you understand them. A lot of us, the forever, the eternal journey and adventure is understanding source. And a lot of us have our frustrations with source. And like any relationship, to cultivate a relationship with source is going to take intentional time. To sit there with source, to feel source, to learn the language of source, to see how source communicates. And you'll realize the more that you practice this, it's an incredible skill set and technique for strengthening the relationship with your intuition. It's an incredible skill set from understanding you on deeper and deeper levels, because you are an aspect of source. You're one of source's greatest creations. You are source, essentially. So this is a practice that I've been engaging with. And through this process, at first, sometimes, to be quite honest, I don't feel really anything. And I go through this process and I begin to feel, and this was like the other night specifically, literally a playfulness, literally laughter, literally joy. I literally begin to feel the essence of source energy has this playfulness. Everything in this universe has both positive aspects and negative aspects. And so what I've begun to realize more and more, and what I begin to remind myself of more and more, if I am taking life too seriously, it's simply because I'm not looking at the other end of the spectrum, that it's equally as playful. This does not mean that I need to be overly elated, overly like this, because there is something known as the law of opposing forces. If you are only sad, the universe will provide you what is known as a pity donut, and it'll bring you up. And then if you're overly elated, the universe will bring you back down. And that's why so many of us, we feel like we're on this emotional roller coaster. We're going up, we're going down, because everything in this universe is both. And if we're not seeing both, okay, it's going to feel like we're on this emotional roller coaster and we're going down, we're going up. But if you can see the perfection in everything, it's what I like to call, it's tapping into what's known as playful objectivity. You are understanding the perceived negative aspects of life. You are seeing all of it. But there's sort of you have leverage over negativity by understanding the playful nature of the negativity. So I call it playful objectivity, because the essence of your spirit is objective. Your spirit self sees this life from a bird's eye view, sees all the positive aspects of life, sees all the negative, and sees the perfection in it. And as so many of us go through these life experiences and we go through these obstacles, it can literally be so convincing that the obstacles are the reason why we are stuck in our lives. And it makes sense. You could probably convince me if you were to share with me your obstacles. But if I were to look at the laws of the universe and understand every single thing has positive aspects, as they do negative aspects, it comes down to my perception. I get to decide if I want to see the playfulness in things that we take really seriously. And I'm not saying to throw away seriousness. What I'm saying here is that life is also meant to be fun. Life is also meant to be playful. And so many of us are like, I need to do this, that, and the other to be playful. What if you were to simplify all the information that you've ever learned and go, I'm going to take some time to let go of trying to figure everything out in this universe all at once. I'm going to realize that that is a frequency and a vibration that I can plug into, and my essence is source energy. And if I set the intention to be playful, I will experience a life that feels more playful. And so my protocol, my SAP, especially now more than ever, has been when I begin to overanalyze anything in my life, and I am not like intentionally setting aside time to do so, meaning if the thoughts of resistance arise within my mind, I remind myself that there is a stream of play within me. And I'm going to choose to tap into that. And I will actually discover resolution. I will discover solutions in this process of simply, here's a key word, simply setting the intention to tap into play. And my process has been smiling. My process has been tapping. I was like, how do I find that word? Tapping into a playfulness. And again, I want to reiterate that this isn't an overly elated playfulness, because if you are overly elated, the universe will bring you down. It's seeing all aspects of life, all the components that life has to offer. It's seeing the positive aspects of life. It's seeing the negative aspects of life. It's understanding the perceived negative aspects, seeing them objectively, and understanding that there is a fun, there is a joy, there is a coherence that you can still tap into, that you don't have to allow life to determine how you feel emotionally. Because even if you allow the joyful aspects of life to bring you to these high levels of playfulness and joy, then what that means is that all the perceived negative aspects of life will simply just bring you down. And now you're sort of a prisoner to things outside of you. But when you decide that who you are at your core is playful, who you are at your core is joyful, who you are at your core is brilliant just by being you, it's an incredible recipe for success. Because what begins to happen is you communicate to your psyche, I don't have to do things, I don't have to hustle to be valuable. If everything in this universe has positive aspects and negative aspects. That means that the spiritual path that, if you're listening to this, we are all on, the path in harnessing source clarity, aligning with the higher self path. That means with all the positive aspects that come with it, there are also negative aspects. Let me ask you this question. What do you think some of those negative aspects are? Some of those negative aspects is that we're always trying to fix ourselves, okay? Certain people get to a certain point in their spiritual journey and they're like, I'm done with spirituality, right? They throw it away. We don't have to throw it away. We can objectively understand that we are a little out of balance and it's time to tap into play and simplify what life has to offer. Because if we're constantly going down this path of I need to fix myself, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do that, I need to do this, and then this, and then that, and that, and this. What are we communicating to our psyche? Something's wrong, I need to fix it. Something's wrong, I need to heal. I have found that I have gotten the most amount of work done. I have gotten the most amount of efficiency by, I am not kidding, smiling. I am not kidding, setting the intention to tap into my playful nature. And this is a nuanced perspective. Some of you may hear this and run and might go feel overly elated. And what will happen is the universe will then bring you down. You'll be on that emotional roller coaster. So I want to reiterate over and over and over again, this is not about being overly elated. Okay, if you're overly elated and you're not seeing the perceived negative aspects of life, and I know it sounds complicated and nuanced, but you can, because it's your it's your natural vibration, set the intention to be playful. And what you realize is that you are telling your psyche, you're communicating, you are planting a seed in the soil of your subconscious mind that essentially says, me is valuable. Not me because I'm spiritual, not me because of my success. Me, period. Who I am is successful, is brilliant, successful, brilliant, valuable, right? Really, the spiritual path, and a lot of us already kind of know this, but it's worth the reminder. It's not about really learning more. A lot of this stuff already resides within you. It's a remembering, right? A lot of you even listening to this, there's something that is resonating within you because it's something that you already, maybe even without words, you already kind of know within you. What this adventure is, it's an unlearning. It's getting back to that natural vibration because your natural state is intuitive. Your natural state is knowledgeable. When you look at intuitively, you will actually see that early newborns are filled with information, right? They're still getting used to their physical bodies, but they have like all the answers to the universe. It's really funny when you look at intuitively. I know that's a little bit esoteric, but it is the truth. They're filled with like all the secrets to the universe. And then they get a little bit more involved and engaged with the human experience. And that's actually where the forgetfulness begins to happen, is a little bit further down the line, 6 months, 8 months, and things of that nature. But your natural state is a high vibration. And I have found that when I go about my day-to-day life and set the intention to feel playfulness, I have found that I distance myself from identifying with the guy that takes things too seriously. I let go of identifying with the guy that has a hard time overcoming obstacles. All of a sudden, I begin to find solutions, and without balancing out your life in this way. And I say that because when you tap into your intuition, you connect to source energy and higher self, you'll see that most of humanity takes life way too seriously. So to balance this out and take life a little less serious, be a little bit more playful, you will begin to realize that all the answers that you have been looking for, they are there. They're there kind of like waiting for you because you are distancing yourself from, again, the person that takes things too seriously. Because what happens is without tapping into this state, without leaning into your natural vibration, I want you to kind of think about this, right? If life is a reflection of our energy and you're taking things too seriously, you are overanalyzing everything in the spiritual world constantly. You are, whatever it may be, the frequency and vibration that you're going to broadcast out into the world is one that is out of accordance with your true nature, that is playful, that is joyous, things of that nature. You're going to attract more people and experiences that reflect that energy right back to you. Those obstacles are going to compound, and you're simply going to attract more of like, I can't figure it out, and your frustration is going to grow. Your frustration is going to rise, so on and so forth, and it's going to feel like it's almost impossible to overcome your obstacles. But you have the opportunity to go, I'm going to pull back. I'm going to distance myself a little bit from taking things too seriously. I'm going to realize that, yes, I'm going to continue to be diligent about my spiritual practices. I'm going to continue to figure out these laws of the universe. I'm going to figure out how to articulate things that I know deep in my soul, deep in my heart. Learn how to articulate them in a way that is presentable for the world. Learn how to articulate them in a way that my brain can process this. Yes, I'm going to continue to learn. I'm going to continue to grow. But in this sort of the spaces in between, like basically what I'm referring to is like in the moments of life where you're driving in your car, how many of us are just thinking like there's just it feels like an inherent thought of resistance, maybe a thought that is associated with doubt or fear or worry or whatever it may be, or maybe we're overanalyzing something in regards to the spiritual world. What if in that moment you were to go like this, smile, put a smile on your face, and you were to be like, it's actually really funny that I'm experiencing this doubt. It's really funny. And then you kind of look around, and maybe it's raining, and you begin to feel a joy, a playfulness for the rain. Maybe it's sunny out, and you begin to feel a playfulness for the sunshine. I remember and it's something I talk about all the time, but I remember when I was 16, if you're a listener to this podcast, you know this part of the story, but I'm going somewhere new with it. You know, when I was 16, I had what felt like this proper spiritual awakening. I became aware that there is a larger non-physical part of who we really are. I realized that this life is like a movie, that if we see ourselves as someone that is socially abundant, because that is what I desired when I was in high school and most people do, I realized if I saw myself as socially abundant, I had to be that person and others would reflect that back to me. So I went from feeling completely absent of social abundance. And then I had this awakening at 16 and my life flipped overnight. Now, I had these old neural networks and pathways within the brain that still caused me to feel invaluable. So I would be in these scenarios of social abundance and around people that had a lot of friends and maybe girls that I thought were cute, right? And I'd have these insecurities arise. And I remember I channeled this technique when I was 16 and it would change my life. I realized there is a stream of play that resides within each and every one of us. So anytime I would have that fear, oh my gosh, this really hot girl doesn't want to talk to me, and I'd be interacting with her, I'm like, all of a sudden it would show up out of nowhere. I'm like, oh my God, I would start to feel paralyzed, right? I would literally think, this thought's allowed to be here. It's really funny. I love you. And I would literally feel an internal smile. I don't know if you could have seen it on my face. You know how when you think you're smiling and then you see a picture of yourself and you didn't smile that wide? It's kind of like that. Like, I felt that I would intentionally feel this internal smile. And what happens is that you let go of resistance. It's sort of, you tap into this non-attached self. Have you ever been around that person that is just having fun, that is just joyful? You want it is a magnetic energy. And I realized that I was able to break through the resistance, and I would have to frequently integrate this process. And now I'm in my life back to integrating this process of smiling more. I had a friend when I was in high school, I remember, who had a lot of friends, really joyful person, and he shared this technique with me in high school. I'm like, how do you like enjoy life so much? He's like, Nikki, honestly, he's like, I smile like all the time. He's like, I just literally walk around campus. He's like, I smile. And at first it feels kind of silly. It feels strange at first because you're like, people can definitely see him forcing this smile. But what I began to realize is that it is natural, because your natural vibration is high. Your natural vibration is intuitive. And yes, again, it is beneficial to go down and understand all aspects of spirituality in the non-physical world, the metaphysical world, and learn about your purpose and your higher self path and your mission on this planet, and learn about the laws of the universe. This isn't a rejecting of that. This isn't a one or the other scenario. This is about balance. And this is about neutralizing all the moments in your life that you have been taking them a little bit too seriously. I want you to think about what it feels like to be in a state of love. When you are in a state of love, you're in a state of receiving. Your heart opens. So when we say stream of play within you, stream of playfulness, we're saying stream of love. We're saying stream of joy. What does that feel like? It feels playful, right? Like who we are just large children is what we are. Really, the spiritual path is getting back to your childlike curiosities, your childlike joy. It's getting back to the essence of what this universe was made from. And this universe was made from out of curiosity. And what arises from that curiosity is play, is joy. When you think back to anything that has brought you abundance, I guarantee you it had to do with joy. Does this mean the challenges are going to go away from life? Absolutely not, right? The challenges actually bring us closer to joy. Does this mean obstacles and adversity just go out the window? No. but this is about what you do when the challenges and the adversity arise in your life. It's about your approach to them. It's about how you see them. Are you going to continue to see them through this one-sided lens, only seeing the negative aspects? That just compounds and creates more. It's going to affect your health. It's going to affect your relationships. But what if you can begin to see all the positive things in your life as both negative and positive, and have a sort of a playful objectivity perspective as you look at them, and see all the perceived negative aspects, obstacles, adversity in your life through this playful objectivity lens? What would begin to happen is, again, you harness higher levels of clarity. There is greater regulation within. There is an internal coherence that you begin to create. And what we've talked about frequently in our Source Clarity community is that when you create heart and brain coherence, you create a coherent electromagnetic field. And this thing is one of the ways that you attract a life experience that is in alignment with coherence. So if you have a coherent electromagnetic field in your heart, it broadcasts the greatest electromagnetic field of any organ in the body. You're going to begin to attract more coherence into your life. And a lot of you are listening to this and you're kind of asking this question. You're kind of going, this sounds great. I'd love to feel a little bit more playful. How do I do this? What's my steps? What's my protocol? Intention. Smile. That's it. Literally. This is a cultivating a relationship with you and who you really are. See what higher self has to say. Call on your higher self. Call on your guides. Call on your angels and see what they have to offer. Your guides, your angels, your higher self sees you the way that you would see a puppy. And how many of us have seen a cute little puppy run and then it trips and it falls and we start like laughing and go, oh, that's so cute. And then it gets up and it trips and it falls. It's like adorable, right? So when you go through these obstacles and the adversity in your life, your guides, your angels, source, higher self, your source team sees you as precious, sees you as playful, sees you as loving. And you get to give yourself a break whenever you decide. If you are waiting on your dreams and goals to feel playful, you will never feel playful, because life is a reflection of our energy. Life is reflecting the energy that we harness within. If you decide this is not a what I mean by taking serious, right? Because I can see how this can be processed is like, well, what do you mean, Nikki? Should I not take my life seriously? Take your life seriously in doing the things you say you're going to do. Take your life seriously in showing up for yourself. Take your life seriously in investing in you, in your inherent high-level genius and brilliance, and strengthening the relationship with your intuition, investing in what you love to do. Take it seriously in that way. But I mean we can distance ourselves. We can by frequently overanalyzing who we are and our life experience all the time, before we go to bed, while we're driving in our car, when we're in social interactions. Yesterday, I got sweet green with a friend of mine, and the weather was great. And I remember getting out of the car, smiling. I walked down the street. We're just going to create a society of people that are just like creepily smiling everywhere they walk. Anyway, so walk down the street, I'm smiling. Go across the crosswalk, I'm smiling. And then my interactions with me and this friend, me and him are just start laughing, smiling. And I started to explain to him, like, yeah, I'm just like smiling more. Does this mean that you are going to not feel your negative emotions? Absolutely not. This is not what this means. This is not toxic positivity. This is balance, because it is essential. We have all the protocols and steps to begin the process of feeling your emotions, to be who you really are. But it is okay to tap into that stream of play that resides within you, because the truth is you are everything. And if you're denying the aspects of you that are non-resistant, aka play, if you're denying the aspects of you that are abundant, aka play, if you're denying the parts of you that are inherently fun and joyous, aka play, you are denying the essence of your spirit. Think about what play means. Play is non-attached. Play is you have to feel safe in order to play. So in that state, in that frequency and vibration, you're receiving. And so I share this. There is a nuance to it. There is a little bit of a nuance. And so what I want to encourage each of you listening to do is to, no pun intended, play with this, experiment with this, and see what begins to happen. Start to note all the moments in your life where you have taken your life a little bit too seriously. and start to look at how your outer reality has reflected that. And then begin to play and experiment a little bit, okay? Start to go, I'm gonna put a smile on my face, okay? I'm gonna see where this goes. Now, experimenting is not doing something once. Experimenting is not doing something twice. Experimenting is experimenting. I'm gonna go through this process of doing it once. Maybe it didn't work for me. Okay, I'm gonna find a little nuanced perspective within me. I'm gonna harness that perspective, tap into play again. I'm gonna try it again, second time. Smile. You walk down the street, you're smiling. Wait, this feels a little bit better. Okay, got it. I'm gonna smile again. I'm still overanalyzing things. Let me try again. Experimenting is experimenting. Okay, I always share with the people that I get to work with the intuitives that I get to work with. I always go, to be a high-performing intuitive, to be a great intuitive in the world is to be a scientist, right? You are going through life and the experiences life has to offer, and you are a scientist. You are extracting data from life. And this data is giving you more information. I always say to intuitives, like, go fail. That is data. That is information that's going to make you a better intuitive. Go have things not work out. Go try for it not to work out. So here's my encouragement. Go set the intention to feel an objective, playful objectivity. Go set the intention to go feel playful objectivity. So playful objectivity is not overly elated. Playful objectivity, it's a little bit of a seeing the negatives and understanding the playful nature in them. It's sort of tapping into simplicity. It's sort of letting go of overanalyzing. So go tap into playful objectivity and experiment. See what begins to happen. Go, actually, here's the challenge. Go try, find ways that it doesn't work. Because if you explore all the ways that something doesn't work, you will find the one way that does, and you can be the person that changes the world more than anything, even though your natural vibration is already changing the world. But you arrived on this planet unconditional love, and the only thing that is stopping you from you attracting your dreams and goals is thinking that you're not unconditional love. The only thing that stops you from feeling playfulness is fear, doubt, worry, negativity, limitations that have been put on you by the world. I was actually on a Hinge date recently, and it's pretty interesting when you're on a Hinge date. Right before, you can feel a little bit of nerves. You can feel a little bit of like, oh my gosh, like what am I doing? And then right before, I set the intention to tap into this playful nature. And anytime I'd have a thought of insecurity, whatever it may be, I tap into this playful nature. It's funny. She shared a story with me. I had a similar story. She shared a story with me about how she went on this long road trip to the snow, and her tire just like blew up. And she's like, we were like out stranded in the middle of nowhere. I don't think they had service. It was like 20 degrees. She's like, we didn't know how to change a tire. And she's like, I look back at that memory because I asked her this, and essentially what she said to me, she's like, I look back at that memory like as fun, like as a fun memory. And I actually had a similar experience where I remember I was with some friends. We were driving out to Malibu at night, and the tire popped. Okay, now I hate to admit this, my putting a new tire on a car skills weren't there at that point, and all my friends at that point were laughing at me. But anyway, literally we were like out in the middle of nowhere. We had just gotten news that out in Malibu there was like a lot of criminal activity just at that time. There was something that was happening. And I remember having this specific thought, Nikki, stay playful. Everything's fine. And literally, like, this happened probably, 10 years ago. To this day, we still talk about how funny that memory was. And so you would think that the obstacles and the adversity is what causes the resistance. But sometimes the obstacles and adversity, like popping your tire in the middle of nowhere with your friends, sucks. But you can tap into this, like, this playfulness. I've had my car break down before and literally just almost kind of laugh at the experience. Sometimes it's the best experience because you get to experience an exact opposite positive of that negative experience. So you have this opportunity to feel high levels of appreciation in your life. You have this opportunity to feel high levels of joy, to feel high levels of play. There is a stream of play, of love, of joy, of goodness, of abundance that resides within you. Understanding spirituality and the metaphysical world and your higher self path and understanding source is a process so that you can anchor in this information. But what's beneficial, what I found to be wildly beneficial, is your natural vibration is high.com. Your natural vibration is high. Your natural vibration is high. Your natural vibration understands these laws of the universe, even if it's not put into words. So when you tap into your inherent high level play, enjoy, you're telling the psyche that you are valuable without effort. And then others begin to reflect that onto you. Your experiences will reflect that onto you. Like so many of us have seen that person on social media and we feel like they're not even like, we don't even know, maybe they believe in law of attraction and manifestation, and it's like that girl who's just kind of jumping around and, like, for lack of a better word, maybe perceived as a little bit ditzy, whatever it may be. There is a power in that. There is something so advanced about that girl who's just kind of jumping around and they manifest anything. People open the doors for them. They get things paid for them because they're tapped in a lot of ways, right, to their natural vibration, or understanding that their value isn't something that they have to earn. Whether that is intentional or not, there is something advanced about that sort of integration. So yes, as it's beneficial to understand all that this life has to offer, like a little scientist, like a lot of you are, these little scientists out there learning more about intuition and who you really are, I find that's incredible. It's an incredible way to create a strong foundation in your life. But there is a time and a place, many times throughout your day, where your body, your human self, your higher self is calling on you to create space. We've had whole episodes on this. Create space in your mind, and that will lead to play. That will lead to playful objectivity. Okay, you will begin to see the good in everything. You'll begin to see your abundance and things work out, and then you can go back. This is not, again, a dismissing of integrating protocols and doing the best you can to grow and increase your skill set in whatever it is that you love to do. So that is what we have to offer. And again, I always say, the real offering, the real podcast, the real webinar, the real Saturday services outside of any of these offerings, and the real podcast today is going to be the integration of simply, keyword, simply setting the intention to feel playful, simply finding ways to smile and see what happens. Don't take my word for it. Okay? See if you can begin to integrate this process of smiling, feeling playful, and see how it feels. See if you can take data points and understand or see all the times where you are taking things too seriously, and then you attract more obstacles. Your relationships, whether it's family, friends, becomes more resistant, and that compounds, and then another thing happens. Then you stub your toe on the corner of like your kitchen counter and you're just done, and hell just breaks loose, right? So you are absolutely wonderful for listening or watching this episode. We have something really special for all of you. We have what is known as a free access your intuition workshop, okay? Intuition takes your life from living a life influenced by the world and the noise of the world to living a life guided by your true essence, guided by your prosperity, guided by your abundance. So you can watch that in the show notes. Okay, what else do we have for you? We probably have other things, okay? They're probably in the show notes. So thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you feel the intuitive pull, our pull is to reach as many lives as possible. So the pull to share this with someone, to like, subscribe, comment, anything. All of you are what make this podcast so incredible. So thank you for listening to this episode of Source Clarity. I will see you next Saturday. Stay awesome and authentic, friends. Alrighty, peace.